But looks to me like a 5 centimeter or so. See a mass grave, and we were right. We found the remains of at least 5 German soldiers down here. We found two skulls, a couple of different thigh bones. That's why we can safely say we found the remains of at least 5 human beings.
So what's the story behind them?
Mass grave. Well, here was once an army field hospital. We found here a lot of medical related stuff from the medics and battalions. This is why we suspected that it was here a mass grave, and we were right.
So when was there the hospital? So this was early 45?
Also February, mid to late February 1945. And of course the ground was frozen here, and this is why we found them already up to it, maybe only 40 centimeters deep, so very, very shallow. They probably dug only a large ground and they put all the bodies in there.
So how did you find out it was here?
I know about the old estate, and my Polish buddy already found here various medical stuff and whatever, and this is why we're suspecting there was a field hospital. And then when I came here with him together, I also found a whole bunch of medical related stuff, ampulla and whatever, so with all kinds of medicine in it, cream, all kinds of. Then as I said, we suspected here that there was a German mass grave, and we are right.
So you were just guessing because there was a field hospital and those naturally be graves?
Yes, there are most certainly. Once you know there was a field hospital, you can bet it that there actually is a mass grave here somewhere.
So do you think there's more here?
We suspect there are at least about 80 to 100 people down here.
Here?
Oh yes, here alone.
So we would have to again GPR this area.
GPR this area, first get all of the smaller trees so that the area is completely free in order to work with the GPR and whatever. Otherwise, you could dig up the whole place in the ground with a JCB carefully, but of course, if a GPR would be at our disposal, it would be perfect evaluation then. Yeah. Or at least a much better evaluation.
And these would be shallow graves because the ground was frozen.
As I said, one swoop with a bucket, as I said, 30 centimeters.
Yeah.
Roughly 30 to 40 centimeters down only. I'm just trying to remember actually. This is the actual spot where we put down the skulls, and since they were not in situ, it was no problem taking out away the bones and what they were totally disregarded. There was no body in situ. Otherwise, of course, we would have pulled them out. We put them on the same spot as a marking for us that we know the precise location where some of the rest of the bodies are, and within that area here, there are most certainly an awful lot of more bodies down still in the ground.
No dog tags, nothing.
No. Yeah, we were finding only as I said, 2 skulls and a couple of thigh bones, different thigh bones. And
if this was a Verbandplatz, then they would have been registered as having been dead and not lost or not missing.
Probably. Well, back in it was late February 1945, shortly before the Russians conquered this ground. It's possible that some of them could have been their deaths could have been recorded or later been recorded as known to have died in that area, so no official location given of where they had been actually at, only a wide location.
So so they would all have been buried with half of their dog tag though?
Most likely.
The Germans don't want to come out and do an official excavation with the...
No, the only thing which they're doing is Volksbund Deutsche Kriegsführung, and they're only doing their money on fundraising.
So we got a fundraise to come excavate the area, basically.
This area alone, if this would be probably excavated, this would be a whole gigantic project of its own.
Yeah.
Well, it's the preparation itself does take an awful lot of time.
Yeah.
Clearing the undergrowth, trying to find out how big, how wide, how far the cemetery extends, where the graves are. This is something which we would have to figure out in the first place. And then begin careful digging up with a JCB and whatever. And then once we find the ground, of course, JCB is out of the question. Digging out by hand then.
Yeah.
And finding stuff. We found even uniform parts here.
All the digging was that you can see here is that was you guys.
Yes. This was done with my Polish friends JCB.
And now you'll understand why I'm not posting the location exactly where we are. Oh, I thought you.
Ammunition.
Oh yeah.
It's ammunition. You can see here going up. Probably I would say by the thickness, perhaps a 5 centimeter or so.
Yeah.
I guess, or at least the remains of a 5 centimeter. An untrained, I would probably use it as a tube, but I can clearly see.
Yeah, this is no detonator on it, is it?
No. This thing is totally harmless. There's.
Oh yeah, no. It's like.
But this looks to me like a 5 centimeter or so.
But since it's undisturbed, it's not like the farmer would go through here and dig anything up.
You want to like to see a shell?
Yeah, I was just usually stones don't sit up vertically. That's usually not how a rock lands.
No, normally it doesn't. Right. I never noticed it actually.
And you're saying about how it can't find things that are.
No, it's getting weird. No.
Is that a projectile?
Shrapnel. That's shrapnel. That's shrapnel.
It's an interesting place that is right there. But I was just saying, rocks don't usually do that.
No.
So there's a lot of stuff to see here.
Oh yes.
Do we know what units were here?
Oh yes, I do. But I know it from certain maps which I could look up. There should be. So I think it's Kampfgruppe Hauser, which was an SS unit.
Hauser was here.
No, not Hauser. They named it Kampfgruppe Hauser. So it must have been a unit which was once attached to Paul Hauser.
Yeah, because he had another one down closer to the east wall. There was also some of his Kampfgruppe Hauser down there. I wonder if they moved. No, they couldn't have gotten out.
No, they were either killed here or whatever, and once they got prisoners, especially the SS unit, the Russians simply killed them straight away.
Yeah.
They never took any SS prisoner. I can figure out which units were here, and just looking at these old German maps.
Let's set up a GoFundMe. Now we're going to go see if we can find these guys and bring them home. It's amazing what's hiding underground. Or sometimes whom.
Well, in one area we found out first there was a helmet. Even I could find out with my regular metal detector, but we couldn't dig it out on hand. And then he took his JCB, took off the helmet. Then he saw immediately in the helmet was still a human skull.
Yeah.
And that's why we noticed, oh, bingo, we have most likely found the mass grave. And then suddenly, when we are exploring a bit further, we found more and more of human remains still down here in the ground. We only did a rather little spot, but there are most definitely an awful lot of more. Within that wider region, I would say, let's make it 30 by 30 by 30, or 30 by 30 meters. This is an area which I would like to explore in order to find out how far along the human remains goes.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I can tell you, when you go for a walk in the woods and you realize you're walking on a mass grave, you do walk differently. Somehow you walk softer when you know there's a bunch of dudes waiting to go home underneath you.
The soil is not very acidic, and what happened, once of course the soil becomes acidic, the bones deteriorate.
My name is Tino Struckman. I run Lost Battlefields. Every year I travel around the world to try to bring you to all the most interesting historical military locations from modern wars and the World War II special projects, battlefields, forts, fortresses, and tunnels, everything else. Things you may not be able to see or go to yourselves. Please join me on Patreon or join Lost Battlefields through the website so you get access to all my files and my notes. It really does help, and like, follow, share here on the channel if you can. That helps too.